Now today, I want to talk about the endocarditis. Basically, endocarditis, which is the inflammation of the sac, where the heart is in the sac. So it's very important that we should mostly endocarditis. Also, a lot of people get the from the teeth bacterial, because the bacteria or virus they gets in your teeth, and once they get in your teeth, they basically get in the blood circulation, in the bloodstream, and from the bloodstream it gets in there, and that's how once they get in the blood circulation, it gets and it's affect the endocardium, which is that sac we call endocardium or epicardium, where is the layers of that sheet where the heart is basically. So one should really take care of that. But at the same time, as we were talking about earlier, how the neurons, the brain cells basically, we have also, since we mentioned the brain cell, we have also, we call that MSS, multiple sclerosis. So multiple sclerosis is also caused that, bacteria, virus, they get in the system, and the worst thing, they affect that, the cell of the brain, which is the neuron. So they kill the neurons, and that's where brains stop working. But as we talked about before earlier about when people have a low blood sugar, and how the low blood sugar affect and how somebody gets into the coma, and that's very important. That person should people with the diabetes, they must take care of themselves very well, and they should always keep something sweet in their pocket. Make sure if they are taking insulin or some other medicine, so they need to take care of that, because once your sugar level go down and go very low and you don't have any sweet, so basically it's affect the brain cell, the neuron, because neuron need the energy, and that energy come through the sugar, how we say the glycogen. So that's what. So as we were talking earlier, that want to explain about the neurotransmitters, how the neurotransmitters actually synapse together. So basically in the brain cell, which is we have billions of cells in the brain, and the way they work, they communicate with one cell to the other cell. So this is how I want to show you how it works though. So this is one cell of the brain, and then I'm gonna make the other cell of the brain, how they communicate together. This is the soma. Like I said, soma means body. Right here, and here is, we call the axon. Axon, and right here we call the hillock right here. Hillock. And the axon go a little longer right here. And from here we have dendrites. Dendrites like a tree. The branch is like a tree. And then another neurons right here. So if you notice, the dendrite is going to receive the information from different cells, and that cells, once they receive the information, this is we call nucleus right here. In the middle part of the nucleus, it got myocardia, it got all ribosome, and it got cytoplasm, it got extracellular fluid, inner cellular fluid, and then which is neurotransmitter is like the amino acid. So there are different kind of amino acid, like we have acetylcholine. That's, for example, this is acetylcholine neurotransmitter, and this acetylcholine neurotransmitter will come right here through the axon, and it's gonna give this to the other axon. And the way it's gonna give to other axon, they're gonna synapse right here between. This is where the synapse takes place. From here to going the neurotransmitter to the other transmitter, to the other cell, the transmitter is gonna synapse. And once it's gonna synapse, that's where we have ion channels too. And those ion channels, where we talk about the sodium and the potassium, how those ion channels be open and close, and how the neurotransmitters goes in there, and how the receptors of this cell receive that neurotransmitter. So brain cells, like we have all cells have receptors. Like for example, when we take Tylenol and any other medicine, the ray, once you take the medicine, it's circulating in the whole blood system, blood circulation, and it's go wherever those medicine receptors are, that's received by those receptors. So that's the same thing, like even if you're taking heart medicine, That's the same way the heart medicine is works with the heart receptors. It's going to circulate in the whole blood system, and once it gets there, received by the receptors. Same thing, a receptor, every next cell of neuron, the brain cell, gonna receive the neurotransmitters. So basically, neurotransmitter this is how the brain cell communicate, and that's how their communication level works. At the same time, we'll talk about the substantia nigra, which is the basal ganglia. Basal ganglia is the deep part of the brain, which works with your emotions, learning, and all this. And basal ganglia that's where we also will talk about, globus pallidus and substantia nigra. That's where the neurotransmitter dopamine that gets slower, doesn't have enough when person get older, and that's why we see that a lot of Parkinson disease. That's where it takes place because lack of dopamine. But we'll talk once we get to the basal ganglia, the very deep structure, the gray part of the brain. We'll talk about that. So for now, right here, which is presented by Quad Graphic. Thank you very much. We'll see you. As you can see, I'm in my Quad Graphics uniform. Very proud to present this little small lecture to you guys. Thank you, and have a good day.